Hi students, my name is Shaylin and I work as a writing tutor at UNTP's Writing Center. In this video or e-workshop, whatever you want to call it, just as long as you share it, we are going to give you 5 tips on how to write an academic voice. All academic voice is a tone you write whenever you write an academic paper. That means you're going to avoid everyday speak, avoid being, being extravagant, being extra, like this is a social media blog post, I'm writing my pen, and it's important that you hear what I say. We're not going to be that kind of extra. We're not going to be that kind of extra. This tone is the tone you're going to use in your college papers. The same way when you go into an interview, you're not going to come in there dressed like Boo Boo the Fool, wherever she puts it. You're not going to be dressed like Boo Boo the Fool. It's the same with your papers. You're not going to write as if you were talking to your mama or if you were talking to one of your homegirls. That makes sense? All right. Let's get these 5 tips started. Our first tip is to write out contractions. That means do not use can't in your sentence when you could use cannot. And that also means to avoid shouldn't when you could say should not.
This will also make your word count longer.
First of all, I don't know whose voice that was in my video, but this is my time to shine. So cut it out. So our next tip is to use third person instead of first person, which means to avoid using I, we, us. Don't include yourself in the paper. Instead, you want to use they, them, it. You can use he or she when you're talking about a specific author, but if that author is not in the text and you're just referring to a vague him, his, she, her, you want to avoid using it. So, for example, if I say a teacher should show his student how to work out this formula, you can say teachers show their students how to X, Y, and Z. In that example, I just made it plural to get rid of that singular, non-specific noun. Also, avoid using phrases like I think, I believe, I feel, or in my opinion. 1, we already know it's your opinion. That's pretty obvious. But 2, in academic language, you want to make your opinion sound like fact. You want to present it as credible, as if you are an authority. So, own it. Our third tip is to use academic phrases instead of colloquialisms or slang. So that means you want to avoid everyday speak. We tend to speak in fragments because we're having a conversation with someone in front of us, so the subject or the idea is usually implied. But whenever you're writing a paper, that idea is not implied, so you need to be specific. You need to use phrases that are actually within your field versus just, I thought that was really cool. Or if you're, let's say feminism, big topic. Feminism has been around for a very long time and a lot of people don't like it. There's nothing wrong with that sentence, but for one, no one cares that a lot of people don't like it, and that sounds very much like I'm having a conversation with someone. Versus the concept of feminism originated in the 1950s and has been controversial ever since. That is very specific. I'm leaving out the word very, like I just said in my own example, because whatever, that's me. And it's using key terms that actually apply to feminism. You get me? You get me. You get me. Now, even though you're trying to use academic language and you want to use that higher level of thought when you write, you do want to avoid using big terms that you don't know what they mean. That tends to make you look less educated versus what you're going for. You're trying to seem educated and like you're knowledgeable on the subject. If you're throwing out random big words, or even if they do apply, but you have a string of big words back to back to back, it almost seems like you don't understand the concept. So you want to avoid that when possible. Our fourth tip seems obvious, and I did touch on it in the other tip, but use complete sentences when you're writing. I actually have the whole subject, verb, predicate, the thing that follows. Again, you're not having a conversation with somebody, I kind of need the rest of that sentence. It's also good to vary your sentence structure. So don't start every sentence with, according to the research, the next sentence. Also, according to the research, then according to the, usually the phrase that follows tends to be very much more specific. Use the specific now when possible. Avoid starting every sentence the same. Avoid having every sentence have, like, your complex sentence. Like, every sentence is a complex sentence. It's okay to have your complex and your simple sentences. It's okay to start with different subjects. If you are confused about what could be the subject, what is the main purpose of that sentence, use the main purpose as your subject. Our fifth and final tip, which is probably the most important tip, is to use credible sources. That means don't go on just a random blog post and like, well, according to this blog post, vaccines cause autism. No one cares what that blog post says, and it makes your point seem irrelevant. You want to use academic sources. Usually you'll find these in journal articles, in databases. They tend to be peer reviewed. That means other people had to pour in and say yay or nay on certain things in that article. It had to be approved to be in that space. Therefore, it is more credible. And it makes you sound more credible. It makes you sound authoritative. Even if it is your opinion, it sounds much more like that. Let's recap the 5 main strategies you're going to use when writing an academic tone. 1, avoid using contractions. 2, use third person. 3, use academic language. 4, use complete sentences. And 5, use scholarly sources. And if you need any help with any level of writing, please come into the Writing Center. So if you are struggling with academic tone, or if you have questions about this video, you can always come in and ask for help, and we will be more than happy to help you. I might say a lot of random stuff, but in that session, I will help you. This has been the Writing Center. I'm out. I'm gonna go find my wig. Yeah, wherever she is. Bye.